Hello there, my name's Johnny, and this is a little film about a horrible and brutal war that I've been fighting for the last 7 years against the disease multiple sclerosis, so I hope you enjoy it. I was born in 1967 to my beautiful mother. When I was 10, my dad took me to a shop called the Forbidden Planet. It just blew my head off. It made me think there is another way to experience this life. I went to a private school, which we nicknamed the RGSS. It was a horrible school for me back in those days, and especially with the 6 hours of hardcore rugby with boys who are so massive they're actually twice the size, quite literally, of fully grown men. I escaped to Godalming College, where I struck up an immediate friendship with a girl called Hannah Smith. 10 months later, she saw me drawing Judge Dredd instead of doing my English Lit, and said, "My dad draws that," and I realised her dad was Ron Smith, my hero. Ron came round to my house a couple of times when I was 17. He said, "You're not ready yet," and he told me to give up my social life and concentrate on drawing for the rest of my life, because that would be my legacy. When I was 29, I noticed that I was getting numb toes, fingertips, and I kept on going to the doctors and they would not listen to what I was saying. So I had a sit-in with my doctor. I said, "I'm not going out of here because I can't walk. Tell me what's going on." Without looking away from her computer and the bedside manner of Nosferatu, she said to me, "Don't you know you've got multiple sclerosis?"
Hurrah! My name's Johnny Deadstock.
It was just like being punched. The hardest punch that you've ever felt, right in the stomach, and you just never ever get over the wind. Like psychically, you're just completely winded.
Fuck, I'm knackered.
When I really knew that this was here to stay, and there's a lot of denial involved. In the first year, I was thinking I had everything. I said, "Never, this will get better. I will get out of it." And that was a disease in itself, actually, I had to overcome. But it's just like someone from the street in a movie just pushing you into a dungeon unexpectedly, and that's that. And anyone who's in your life is going to have to come and be in a dungeon. They can't. I'll never be out of the dungeon. That's what I was feeling. I wanted to take my own life in a big way. Yeah. But I knew that wasn't going to sort anything out.
You can think of multiple sclerosis as a disease of two separate phases. The first phase is when the immune system attacks the nerves in the brain. Now, the immune system is normally there to defend against invading bugs, but it makes a mistake and it attacks a particular part of the nerve called myelin. Now, if you think of a nerve as an electrical wire, the myelin sheath is the plastic insulation around the metal bit, the wire itself. And in multiple sclerosis, it's the myelin sheath that is destroyed, whereas the underlying wire, the axon, remains intact. All of the symptoms of multiple sclerosis arise from damage to the nerves within the brain and the spinal cord. And the weakness that people experience is not because the muscles are damaged, but just because the brain cannot get the signals to the muscles that they need to move. What Johnny has experienced is really very typical for someone with multiple sclerosis. So at a fairly young age, in his 30s, he develops a number of different symptoms: loss of erections, difficulty with his bladder, difficulty with his bowel, which seem mysterious, perhaps trivial at first, perhaps they come and go. He may or may not have been to see his GP, who probably, to begin with, wouldn't have paid a great deal of attention to them.
Dead right. A little bit familiar about the erections though, wasn't he? I haven't met that man before, but he seems to know a little bit too much about my erectile dysfunctions.
Johnny Deadstock is an artist that I've worked with over quite a few years, on 2000 AD, on Nemesis, on Zombie World for Dark Horse Comics, and also Torturer for Extreme Comics of Germany. His style was just so unusual, so maverick, and I think this was something I always wanted to see in 2000 AD, not kind of staid, conservative storytelling, but something that really jumps out at you and you think, wow, this is very special.
It was odd because the artwork didn't really fit into the rest of the comic when you used to read it. It was 4 other stories and then John stuff. It just seemed as if John had copied the writing on a doctor's prescription and just added some acid to it. He's well, I'll just be blatantly honest, sometimes he can put you on edge if you were just sitting around him. And every time I seem to have met him, it's always at award ceremonies and stuff, and you're trying to sit down and have a nice relaxing meal. You've got this seething mass of angst sitting next to you while you're trying to have your soup. So he did in one point, in actual fact, curdle my beer with his anger.
After I knew I had MS, I was just completely devastated. I was completely and utterly devastated by it. You have a moment of shock after anything big in your life where you think, oh, it's a go away, or if someone dies, you expect it to come back. And I think I was in denial about it. I think the diagnosis shocked me because I was never worse than I was the first year or so.
I'm so comfortable around the camera, it's ridiculous. Well, film all my better looking friends than me. Hand, baby. Hand. You know that. Well, I look like a freak. People will look like this.
You can see there's a chink, especially in the eyes. I look sad, I look tragic, and I was in a sad and tragic place. Didn't have all the things that I've got now. I was fiend for the drugs, couldn't ever back down off anything. I was aggressive and used to like to drink and just thought that the whole world was my enemy. If I had a time machine, that's the cliche, isn't it? I'd go back and I'd give myself a slap and I'd take myself aside for 5 minutes and maybe say, I don't think you want to be doing this. But I think I was so desperately looking for comfort after I was diagnosed. And I think I just lost touch with everyone around me because I was becoming so insular. I've had a shag for 3 months. 3, not 2, not 1, 3. And
That's a long time,
me,
Johnny.
I think it's going to last another 3 months. When you just get that feeling, you're just not going to get fucking laid. Because I'm starting to put out that vibe of, oh, wouldn't it be nice just to have someone stroke? I've had someone stroke my hair, actually, I must admit, recently. But the thing was, I got an erection, and she was just trying to comfort me about an emotional issue. Hey. Yeah, I thought me and women are pretty much over, but I did have still have women I've learned are a very beautiful, species, and they are a species completely different from us. And they just didn't really notice it. And when I talked to my female friends going, look at me walking around, who's going to want this? They were saying, well, you're going to lose a lot of people who'd be very unsuitable, and you'll probably find that, person who can deal with it.
I met Johnny when I was doing a photography course in Guildford, and he thought I was incredibly moody, but actually I was quite shy, and he shaved my head that day. We went back to a friend's house and he was shaving her head, and I think it was a kind of flirtation, but he shaved my head to a grade 2 from about not far off what it is now. My mother wasn't best pleased. and we saw each other for about 7 months after that. I didn't see him again for another 10 years. I ran into a friend of his, which must be 5 years ago now, I suppose. He told me that Johnny wasn't well, and he gave me his number, but I was with somebody else at the time, and I kept his number. I had his number in my wallet for about 3 years before I rang it. Yeah. And then one day I just had the sudden urge to ring him, and rang him. And about 3 days later we met up, and I knew what MS was, but until you are close to it, you don't fully understand the implications. You don't fully understand how it affects people daily, and how quickly it progresses as well. I thought I knew what it was.
Johnny's case is typical of most people with multiple sclerosis. A good 80% will have a disease like him, which starts off with relapses and remissions, and then over the course of several years moves to the phase of secondary progression, where they're gradually getting worse and worse.
Can I explain my situation to you? Basically, I had my benefits cut, my disability benefits, and I appealed successfully. I won my appeal. Yes, I did. I won my appeal. I have the letter here. It's going to be backdated till September the 1st. And even though I've won my appeal, they keep sending me more and more. They say they want more and more information, though I've won my appeal. And carers benefits, fair enough. Can you put me through to someone who deals with cripples? Oh, no. That's one of them. No, I want direct line stuff. Yeah, that phone is an empty room and it's never answered by anybody. Oh, mate, I've sat here for hours on those phones. That's why I've got direct lines. Perfect. Thank you. How much is it for? Okay, baby, that's really nice of you. How much is that for? Sorry to call you baby, that was very informal, wasn't it? Okay, wonderful. What's your name? I love you. Bye. Sorted. They have, after I've won my appeal, which is backdated to the beginning of September, and they've written to me and sent me with a letter, which, I don't know, it might be down there, saying we need more information. Shouldn't need more. After you've won something, you've won it. It's on the computer. Incapacity for work questionnaire with very fucking horrible questions. Well, the first one I come across is it's a lovely question. Tick one box only. I have no problem controlling my bowels. I have no voluntary control of my bowels. I lose control of my bowels at least once a week. I lose control of my bowels at least once a month. I lose the control of my bowels the whole fucking time. Around this time, I was relapsing remitting, so that would mean that on bad days, I was really, really bad. It's like an undependable partner, you know? Oh, I love you today. Oh, I hate you actually today. Oh, I love you, no, I don't. It's even from hour to hour it could change. And I found that psychologically really difficult because I couldn't handle being able to, one day I'd walk upstairs, the next day I couldn't walk anywhere for 3 days. And then I'd suddenly be able to walk around and walk down the shop. And I think, and it threw everything into an even deeper perspective of, oh God, look what I'm losing, you know? That to you is a few cobbles and a bit of uneven surface, a couple of gates. To me, that is the 9th circle of fucking Hades of pain. I know I'm not bitter because when I see kids running up and down the street, having fun, skateboarding, doing what they do, I say to them, thank God for your myelin sheath and may you always be happy and healthy. And I wish that for the whole world. Alright. Now watch me spaz. Ow. Ow. Ow.
I think he sees it as a third party. He sees it as something that's has a will and has intention and knows what it's doing. He sees it as a demon, really, that and it does seem to be that way. It's very strange. there's not a day that you don't have a symptom. So if you're having a good walking day, you've got absolutely no, you've got total sensitivity to light. So you have to wear a hat or sunglasses because you can't bear the tiniest bit of light. If your eyes are better, you can't walk, or you might have more trouble with, you know, your bodily functions. And it seems to have a will, and that's how he sees it.
Well, in order of importance, yeah, it's got to be sphingolin, ecological formulas, myelin basic protein. And what this is it's basically the myelin sheath of a cow, but the cows have been organically farmed in Wisconsin, so they don't suffer until the end, you know, in bulk gun. I think I'd quite like that, to be honest. Then they farm their myelin sheath, and you've seen The Evil Dead. They've got the thing in the cellar, haven't they? Sweaty souls! That's what the MS is. And so I'm throwing this. This is myelin sheath. And so when I swallow these, my MS goes, fucking nice one, and goes and destroys it. Well, my immune system does. So this is myelin sheath to distract it from attacking me, because it's fresh and it's myelin sheath and it's programmed to attack it. So if I take this, it's like feeding a monster joints of lamb into the cellar door with chains on it. So here I go, with a little bit of Lucozade. I can fucking hell. Yeah, that helped. He said, do you know what one bloke said to me? Because it always stuck in my mind. He said, if you want to eat a cow's arsehole, that's up to you. If it makes you feel better, fine. I said, it's not a cow's arsehole. It's actually a cow's myelin sheath. We had a little bit of a debate, which we started enjoying. And he was going, well, how would that help you? And I said, well, you're the one sticking fucking pigs' hearts into human beings for a heart transplant. It must take... We're mammals. Me and that cow are mammal. And so any additional myelin sheath that this has got on it, why shouldn't it attach itself to my nerve cells? That's not rocket science. If a pig's heart can keep a bloke fucking alive, even though when he gets up he's sniffing for truffles before he goes to work, that's not my problem. I feel very sorry for his wife, if that's the case. One night, I'd had one of those funny cigarettes. I was watching the shopping channel. I saw an advert for this. Important safety information. Do not use if you suffer from multiple sclerosis, it says, look. But I found that doing it on the upper body, which is the most part I've been doing, just to be vague, because I thought, oh, my legs are fucked. I noticed all these improvements. Like, I don't have to... I used to, like... When people phoned up and said, do you want to go down the slug and lettuce? I used to have to plan when I had a shit. Excuse my language. Because I'd think I might be halfway down the slug and lettuce and suddenly pull a whitey because I've got one in I've got one in the oven and it's fucking coming out now because I couldn't feel my arse. And I found it gave me all feeling back into that. It says not to use it, so let's forget that and use it. And then you attach what I like to call the Punisher. That hurts, right? Oh, that's a bad one. After a period of feeling ill and feeling that I shouldn't do it, I noticed that my hands returned the feeling. I had lost a lot of feeling in my hands. Every morning I'd wake up with numb hands and have to wait 10 minutes till they get better. I lost feelings to my fingertips. I could never feel down here at all. It was like touching a turkey. I noticed I could feel it all. And then I noticed I wasn't incontinent anymore. I didn't have any bladder problems because I was using this all the time. You're not allowed to do it around your chest because you have a heart attack. Spasms of joy. So maybe I'm addicted to it. Maybe I love having multiple sclerosis. Maybe my soul chose it for my own well-being. Thank you for being so brave.
It is very natural that Johnny did, like many others have done before him, go onto the internet, talk to people who have multiple sclerosis, read all the magazines there are about MS, and search desperately, if you like, for any hint of something out there that might help him. And for many people looking in on this process, it sometimes can seem irrational, desperate, perhaps a bit bizarre. But for those in that situation, any hint of a drug that might help, however improbable, is something to be grasped at.
He'd rather try something and for it to backfire than to sit and do nothing. He'd rather regret something that he has done than regret not having tried something. He's a fighter, he won't give up.
Okay, so this is milk thistle. What it does is it helps clean out your liver. 20 drops is advisable per half pint. I tend to just go crazy and put as much as John Leslie will allow me. And that could be, is that 20 drops? God knows it. It's absolutely disgusting. But what I'll do is pretend it's a dram of whiskey. And it seems to help, you know? If I pay $3.95 for this down there, wherever, I'd love it. I'd say, can I have another one? Because I know it's good for me. I hate it. Why? Anyway, here we go. Ow! Yeah, I don't know, I'm just gonna... Right, now for the worst of the bunch. If you were smoking cigars all night with Marlon Brando and a lot of his friends, and they were to put everything in the ashtray, it would taste like this. And so this is MSN, which is for mobility for horses, performing horses, and it says on the back, which I find quite amusing, 3 to 5 measures per day for the first 10 days, ponies 1 to 2 measures, competition or strenuous exercise 3 to 5 measures. Right, and a measure's a small bit, but I take a massive lump of this shit. It's cigarette ash, it's cigar ash, it's horrible, but it's good for you. It makes your heart pound like a tiger. It's my cat. Can you pan down to that little beauty? That's one I'm putting in my mouth. He's like Biggie Smalls of the cat world, mate. He's classic. Anyway, back to me and my suffering. But you're not getting out, you're on lockdown for killing mice. Back to me, Adam, please. Quickly as possible, mate. You know the score. Okay, let me regain what's left of my composure. I'm fine now. If you have 2 glasses of water after you've nearly coughed up your colon, you're sorted for the rest of the day. And my heart has already started to beat fast. I'm feeling good. I want to cause some trouble in a nice way. I want to torture a tortoise. I want to, I don't know, befriend a tramp and maybe give him a suit, and then the next day have him arrested for stealing off me. You know what I mean? I'm creative today. I'm ready to fucking rock.
He wasn't using any therapies at all at the beginning. He wasn't going to physio, which he does now. He was going to see a medium and a natural healer who did some detox, and I think that was pretty much all he was doing, and just trying to deal with it on his own.
Oh, it's still 7.
I think I'm a bit late.
That's it, I just finished now.
You're free to go. Yes.
Thank you.
We don't take
Andrew,
prisoners, not
no.
in crimes anyway.
Good.
I'm here because I'm following up a neurologist's appointment to see my GP, to see what the neurologist said, which is pretty much what he said to me. Clear a few things up, go on a new drug called CN25, or talk about it, talk about beta interferon, which I don't want to go on. Because of the walking that you've seen, man. I used to walk, well, you know, well. I'm like, fuck this. I've got to sort it, you know. You can't do it on your own. All the time. No man's an island, but every man's a river. And Robin Hood didn't have a motherfucking quiver. Anyway, I don't like this bit.
The only drug that has been proven to have any efficacy at all in halting or reducing the disease is beta interferon. And we know that for it to be maximally effective, it has to be given very early on in the disease. So for Johnny, that would have been back in the early 2000s when he was definitely having relapses and remissions. But now, 2004, when it's felt that he's entered the secondary progressive phase of the disease, and he comes to thinking about beta interferon again, then he's faced with a drug which, although it's available now, is probably far less likely to be helpful to him. In fact, it's possible it won't be helpful at all.
One neurologist said you might want me to. I was thinking medical trials for this thing called GATE, GOAT, and I don't want to go on them either. I'm just a rebellious patient, man. Not any treatment for it whatsoever. I'm fairly impressed, but it could get really gnarly, but it won't. I'll be alright, maybe.
At this point in my life, I was being offered, because I was going down quite quickly, I was becoming progressive here from relapsing, and I was just collapsing. As you call it, collapsing, remitting. Yeah, I was offered beta interferon and intravenous use of steroids and baclofen, which is like a heroin derivative. And I didn't want the beta interferon because I just heard, I don't think drugs with anti in the name or interfere in the name are any good. I don't get that much pain now because I think it's because I've got used to it, but if I have a good day where I'm not having pain, I find those days much more depressing than the normal day where I'm going through pain, because I realise that I am in pain all the time. And I've just got used to it.
He didn't ever even have any pain relief, actually, when I first started seeing him, and I didn't know for probably more than 6 months that he had neuropathic or neurogenic pain, which all his nerves were on fire, and he was just putting up with it and nobody knew about it, and he just thought that that was something that he had to put up with. And I had a look on the internet and found several drugs that can help that kind of pain, and we went to his MS nurse and we got him amitriptyline, and that's been a lifesaver, I think.
I was trying to stay off any kind of MS drugs, but I can't. I just didn't see why I should have to live like that. It's just weird. In Terminator, when that policeman gets frozen, doesn't he? He starts to take a step and his foot crumbles. And it feels like that just all the time. You don't know where you're putting your feet. You can't feel your feet, and what you can feel is just agony, and it starts in your brain. It's a very cruel, and I think it's underestimated because I don't know why it is, but because people don't talk about it enough, because people are young and they probably don't want to admit that vulnerability. But yeah, it's horrible pain, really horrible.
Now, in this case, in Johnny's brain, as in the brains of many people with multiple sclerosis, it's actually quite hard to see the damage. People imagine that multiple sclerosis causes devastating areas of abnormality on a brain scan, but that isn't actually the case. So, for instance, if you look at this scan here, it's basically normal, but there is one white spot here, which is an individual plaque of multiple sclerosis. This is where the immune system has damaged the myelin sheath around nerves. If you look very carefully, you see some tiny little spots either side, and those are also likely to be areas of damage from multiple sclerosis. But you can see that the vast area, the vast majority of the brain, is left undamaged. And that is why people like Johnny function normally in all but one or two respects from their multiple sclerosis. Now, in his case, where most of his disability is in walking, I would expect most of the damage due to multiple sclerosis to be in his spinal cord.
Drawing is my walking now. Yeah, I run with that. I fly with it actually now. But yeah, it's keeping me alive because I'm a fiend for it. I can't wait to get that. I can't wait to get a piece of paper with a pen, and because it's what I can control. And I haven't got MS when you're looking at my pictures, and I haven't got it when I'm drawing them either. And I think that it gives me that ability to express that fear, probably, because it's aggression, isn't it? The stuff that I do is sort of aggressive art, I suppose, and I think that all aggression is coming out of fear, so I think it just turned my fear into a workable tool. I was doing it before when I was well, but now those characters are representing a different mindset that, me knowing I'm the MS sufferer, some people can't write, and so I consider myself very blessed that that's never even occurred to me. But I think what I'm doing is I'm just trying to express violence that's in me, and has been actually for most of my life. Anger, because I want to make people feel something when they look at it, and as I say, this world, we're spoon-fed this horror on a subconscious level much more than we realise, especially through the news and the media.
I cannot think of one horror artist whose work is more powerful than his. I would rate him alongside the one name that most people would think of would say be Bernie Wrightson in the States. His work is very powerful. It's more controlled than Johnny's, and it's not as ghastly. And I think people are far more likely to have nightmares after looking at Johnny's work.
If you looked at it, you'd think I was a, psycho, and you didn't know me. You'd think the bloke's got deep issues. He's a psychopath. But in fact, you know me. I'm fairly alright. I just want other people to look at it and just remember it, and I'm fairly neutral about what they think about it. But I do find that, weirdly, children really like it. The intensity of it. Women always like it. And it's mainly middle-aged men who just don't really get it. But when I look at the pictures and I look through my portfolio, I think, why? There's obviously a lot of anger being expressed in there, but it's like I want people to look at it and remember it and maybe even be disturbed by it. And that's probably due to an insecurity within me about my own weaknesses, whatever. I'm trying to make it hard on the paper.
Right, here we go. That drawing, I don't know why I did it, but I did it. Why do you think I did it?
Yes, there's something vaguely familiar about this drawing. Yes, the sort of strong phallic emphasis is quite familiar. Yes, you seem to have actually had more than usual here. There's three going on. Yeah, it's very you, Johnny. What else can I say? Okay, so this chap's got a tree stump on his head, and
he's just pulled out.
He's doing something. Oh, he's just pulled out from doing something to this lady here.
He's dipping her nipples in the ripples of water.
Yeah,
and that rhymes.
Well, that's
that's
very, very tasteful.
Bring the lambs to the slaughter.
And in fact, actually, it is tasteful in a weird sort of way.
Well, we've all done it.
Well,
you know what I mean? Well,
not with a tree stump on our heads.
Yes, I've done it with a tree stump on my head to a lady.
Right, okay,
yes.
right.
And it took me ages to get the moss out of my ears. And so, do you think, like, as an average mum, that when you look at that stuff, you don't think that I've got a twisted or warped soul?
No, because I know you haven't. But you've certainly got a very creative imagination. No, I don't think so.
But so that doesn't, you don't look at that and think, perhaps that shouldn't be doing that?
No.
That's why I love you so much.
Because you love animals, children,
My
your
mother. Perfect.
So, no problem. But where it comes
Give me
from,
some
I'm
skin,
not sure.
G. You have to do that.
It's like breathing for Johnny. If he's awake, he's got a pen in his hand. Even if he's not got a project on at the time, if he's awake, he's got a pen in his hand.
Whatever we're experiencing personally, we put into our work. Whether we acknowledge that consciously or whether we do it subconsciously, it's going to end up in your work anyway. And people who don't allow their personal passions, their personal tragedies, their personal difficulties to come into their work is usually antiseptic, professional, and actually a little bit boring. I think because Johnny is a very, very creative artist, he will find a way to transmute whatever that experience of MS is into a dynamic of his artwork. I think that's something that highly creative people can do and do. And I'm sure that's what that Johnny will do. It's a sort of alchemic transfusion of, turning lead into gold, if you like.
One time I remember on a particularly desperate young morning, I opened a Bible and I said to the Bible, I said with total respect, I don't really understand Christianity, but I know this is a spiritual book and there's good in it, and whatever I open it up as will tell me what the reason is that I'm suffering this. So I opened it up and it said, creepily, better to enter paradise halt than hell healthy. When I see disabled people, I used to laugh at them, you know, the window lickers and all this. I used to think it's funny. And now when I see them, I think of them as almost like warriors, trapped in these bodies, you know, in these contorted shapes. And it's changed my whole personality. So if I could go back and have the physical but the mindset that I had, I'd say no, I'll keep the MS. If I haven't got a choice of having both, I'll keep the MS and keep what I've learned from it in the last 4 years now. I look back on that and I think, yeah, it's very noble to say those things, and I meant them, but I was dipped into a real vat of agony about 2 days after that interview, and I thought I really shouldn't go to big churches anymore, you know, start saying how much compassion and everything that I've got, because yeah, it has taught me to look at disabled people in a completely new way. I mean, you know, obviously I really empathise and I am disabled. But I think that's difficult because that bit of footage is like, I meant that, but now, no. I've got to be realistic, and I've had this for probably a decade without being diagnosed, and I just want it to end. There's one part of me that just wants it to end. Another part of me wants to fight. But yeah, it's more on the fighting side than the ending side. But after a fight, God, eventually the bell goes, doesn't it? I haven't sat in my corner for a decade. That's hard, do you know what I mean? That's a hard ask. This is my wheelchair. Free trainers with it, just in case you get better. Could happen. It's really comfortable. You just put these things around here for your feet, lock them down, stick them down, stick your feet in there, stick the brakes on. If you want to just go in just one way. And that's it.
How do you feel being in it and like her pushing you around in it?
I feel that she can go where she wants with me. Try to hold hands with her, but she's just, you know, she's behind me. I'm with her, and if she wants to go for a, you know, wherever we're going on holiday soon, if she wants to go down the Riviera, as long as it's not really rugged territory, I'll do that with her. And I just honk one of her breasts for stop and another one for go. I said I'd never sit down for MS, but I have sat down for it, and I've been pushing the wheelchair, which I was dreading, but I won't lie down for it. I'm not going to get in a bed, have my tendons cut, which I've seen a close friend of mine have, so I could lie still, eyes rolling all over the place. I'm not doing that, so what choice have I got? I mean, when does it stop? Your walking stops, your speaking, your hearing gets affected, your sight gets affected, all these things are creeping up on me, and I'm taking them, but I can't do that forever. To keep on living, to keep on, you know, until you got a beaker by your pillow with a tube going in it, you're sucking on like a baby. Well, I think that that's brave. I've got a ceiling of what I'm prepared to put up with, and I think that committing suicide is a horrible term, because committing suicide says that you're committing a crime, and if you're self-euthanizing, I actually don't think it's cowardly to do that. I think it takes some nuts to take your own life. I feel like, you know, a toreador, the bullfighter, I don't know what they call a matador. I've got my 10 spikes in, and that represents each year I've had that, and it probably was before, but let's say that's 10. I'm waiting. When I put my head down, I decide to put my head down for the matador to do the coup de grace. I'll put my head down. He won't be controlling me doing that. I'll be doing that. I'm going to free myself. I see my decision will be made with a clear mind, with the agreement of my loved ones. It will be with love, and it will be a peaceful death, a Spartan death, and it will be a beautiful death. I feel like I'd like it to be have some dignity. I believe in the right Barlow sort of states, like in Buddhism, the states that you get in the spiritual states. And if you've hurt, you'll experience the hurt, but you won't always be there. I don't believe in eternal hell, even for really bad shit. I think if there's forgiveness, there's progress. And progress is what this world's about.
It makes me feel, I don't know, lots of different ways. It makes me feel like it's hanging over our heads. It makes me feel like it's a waiting game to get to that point, and that point's there in the future, and you've got to recognise it when it happens, when it comes, and when it's the right time, and it's just hanging there, you know, in out there. That day is hanging there waiting to arrive, and that's really hard. And I can't imagine him not being around, but at the same time I would not encourage him to go through what he would go through if he didn't do that, because I wouldn't.
I'll spend 10 to 12 hours a day drawing, and it's not because of any financial gain, it's just because if I didn't, I think I'd just go mad. Because you can't sit here, and I don't want to sit here watching Fern Britton all day, do you know what I mean? God. I fill my days with drawing, painting, talking to my mates, and I have a good life. It's just like that, literally it's like from here down, you know, just above the knee. I had a reflex then. I'm just gone. There's just nothing there. I can't even feel it. The other night, someone said to me, "Johnny, you got a fag on your foot?" I went, "Oh, fucking hell!" And I lifted it up, and there was a little sort of like sore on my foot. But my legs are noodles. So I sort of get up, whoa, like that, and I've steadied myself. That's meant to be called a saving mechanism. It ain't saving shit. Imagine if I was in Lord of the Rings and I was walking across one of those bloody bridges, lava either side. Jesus Christ, don't ask me to go and fucking get it. My cats don't spend time with me anymore because they think I'm a zombie.
I see somebody that is dealing with something that I can't even begin to imagine what it must be like to deal with, and I see him growing from it, teaching me how to live my life, and that's incredible to be around.
Okay, today I'm very nervous because I'm going to try a drug, revolutionary drug called Ames Pro, which nickname is Goat, and it has some amazing results, or it doesn't really do anything. It's a real unknown quantity, so yeah, I'm pretty nervous.
This particular drug, it is claimed, has an effect on the way electrical impulses travel down nerves and can boost the efficiency of nerves which have been partially damaged by multiple sclerosis. The key issue is whether taking these injections long term have any fundamental effect on the disease process. The key question is whether if Johnny takes goat serum for a year or two, at the end of that, whether he's any less disabled than if he had not taken them at all. And the jury's very much out on that at the moment.
I can feel, I know it sounds stupid, I can feel this sofa with my ear. I didn't realise I lost sensation in all these parts. I can feel that DVD with my ear. I can feel it with my hands and haven't been able to feel anything for a long time. It's almost sort of like, it's a normal feeling, but it's slightly unpleasant because I haven't had it so long to touch things and to feel the difference, you know. It's, you realise that's a sense in itself. Obviously it touches the sense in itself, but when it goes, like if any other sense goes, you notice. You know, if your eyes or ears or, you know, stuff was to go, your heart or whatever, you'd start noticing. But with touch, it just slips away. I don't know, man. Yeah, there's definitely something going on, man. Like one of those films, you know, Ghost in the Shell. That's what I thought was going to happen. I thought I was going to walk out of there with fireballs, you know, emitting from my, you know, bottom of my trouser legs. Lightning coming out of my eyes. Beating people up on the way back. Lifting Claire's car up to surprise her when she's, you know, next looks for it. And I'm disappointed that I haven't got those superpowers that I've been waiting for, but nah, I've got some goat inside me now, mate. There's no doubt about it. I just wanted to see what I'd read about it, and I must admit, yeah, in a way it's been a damp squib, and that it hasn't got me, I'm not striding around now. Even if it's not a cure, it's management. It's not a cure, actually, but it's management. I just think people should look at the bare facts, and if it's helping people out, then why not give it to them? It feels sort of natural, it's like now. And that I get sad about. But I get really sad because the effect it's having on people around me just is not what I want at all. So I want it for them and me, obviously.
Tell me how you think Claire is coping with it all.
I think she's being just unbelievably supportive. She's being a sword. She's like Joan of Arc or something. She's strong. But it's hurting her. And I see it do that. At my family. I'm not bothered about losing my life, but I'm bothered about losing my demeanour, losing my mind, losing my interaction with this world, basically, you know? You know.
There's a distant prospect, and an alarming one for someone like Johnny who uses his hands for his work, that his hands will become less dexterous, then less strong, and potentially his arms will become weak as well. If I couldn't draw, I hope I'd accept it and say I've already done enough. But I don't think of a world where I can't draw. Because then I think of a world. Nah, it's like even that. Just talking about that has made my palm just go numb. It's crazy. This is where it's fought in the mind. This battle. I want to keep it downstairs. Not as downstairs as mate you said earlier, but you can say we want. But yeah, I'll keep it downstairs in the basement.
People like artists are driven. They can't help doing what they do, and if that then becomes the only thing you can do, if you take that away, then sort of what have you got left? Especially in your days when everybody else is at work and running around, and what do you do? I think that would be the point where he would call it a day, really.
And the wheelchair's actually given me a new lease of life, and I'm much happier. I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life. And how weird's that? I'm happy. I can't leave the house on my own. I'm euphoric because of love. There's finally that crack. This crack in my armour has let the light in. But when the light goes, proper darkness in my head, and I'm just spreading the misery. I've got to leave the party. Well, I'm not. You know, when you go to a party and you get, it's really nice. You talk to your friends. We've been to a few, and some comes in. You know, some maniac kicks the bloody door in. You know, and you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't want to be at that party. You know what I mean? I don't want to be that person at that party. I don't want to be out of control. I don't want to be out of my mind. My name's John Hicklinson. Not that disabled bloke who hasn't walked for 20 years. I'm accepting my life is difficult, and it's like I think that's a major hurdle for a lot of people with any illness. I think, especially a permanent incurable condition or any chronic condition, incurable or not. They've got to accept that their life is going to be difficult, because that helped me anyway. I can't, who am I to advise any others? But I thought, this is what your life's going to be like, John. It's always going to be painful to get in and out of the bath. It's always going to be a bit of a sort of hit and run when you're, trying to get to the loo at 3 a.m, full of sedatives. You are going to fall more. You are going to feel more pain. You're going to suffer and then eventually die. And knowing you lot, you'll be there with a camera in my face telling me to do it again. Can you die again, please? I'll go back from the spirit world, just talk to my way in. I have to go back, down into my body, and then die again because Adam's not happy with the cut. Or the sound was a bit wrong on your death rattle. I mean, this might be an ongoing project, yeah. I can't rule that out, that if I was dying, that you wouldn't come here, that you wouldn't come in front of me with a camera. And I can't rule that I wouldn't agree to it. I'd say to the nurse at the hospital, let them in, for fuck's sake, we've been doing this for years.